At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
I always enjoy that morning cup of coffee. Usually by the time I do coffee with Krueger, though, it is my second cup of coffee. Yeah, I'm a 2-cup guy. Of course, that's to be expected. I'm usually up by... People have asked me what time I wake up in the morning. I wake up at 3:30 in the morning. Isn't that awesome? You know, it's actually 2 hours more sleep than I had when I worked at the TV station. So, hey, I'll take it. I'll take whatever kind of sleep I can get, especially if I have to be up early in the morning. I will take it. How's everybody doing out there this morning? You know, it wasn't a bad day out there yesterday. I mean, temperatures were... just a little bit above normal, but stayed below 90 degrees in the valley for most of us. And I'm expecting, though, well, that heat wave I've been telling you about, it's going to be here. It's going to arrive today. But remember we talked about like the first day that we see 100 degrees or higher? We have yet to see that for most of us, right? Again, it's officially. We have yet to see 100 degrees officially anywhere. That being said, today, I think it's going to be that borderline again, where we could hit 100 degrees for some of us. And I do think there's a better chance that many of us could see 100 degrees today. But I think widespread triple-digit heat in the valley and even some of the surrounding foothills starting tomorrow through Thursday. So the main heat, the bigger heat, is going to arrive sometime around tomorrow. So that's essentially what we're looking at here. All right, let's get you to your current conditions out there right now. You can see about, yeah, I mean, it's coolish out there this morning, mid to upper 60s in the valley right now. Of course, we're in the 40s, 50s for the higher elevations, low 50s out along the coast right now. Take a look at that visibility. Looks like it's a little bit lower visibility down into southeastern portions of Plumas County. Otherwise, pretty good visibility pretty much anywhere you go. Let's get you out the door this morning and heading out at about 8 o'clock this morning, getting the kids off to school or you're heading off to work. The valley, again, coolish. You're talking about 70 degrees. But for the higher elevations, should be mainly in the upper 50s, maybe some low 60s in Siskiyou County. And for the North Coast and the coast in general, you're looking at those temperatures in the low 50s. Take a look at the winds out there right now. They're beginning to pick up a little bit down to the south into southern Tehama County, Glenn and Butte counties as well. But those winds will really start to pick up here later on this afternoon. They're picking up around noon, but even more so by the time we do get into this afternoon, and then probably still fairly breezy as we go into the overnight hours. So what does that do for our fire weather risk? Unfortunately, it's going to increase that fire danger. And we're going to be in that moderate to high range here for today with those gusty north winds. You'll also notice the cloud cover this morning, or should I say lack thereof, because the clouds we saw yesterday, they're moving out. And that's because high pressure is settling on in, and that's going to give us much warmer weather. Now you can see some of the clouds we'll see develop this afternoon for the higher elevations. And look at the fog approaching the coast today. So later tonight into tomorrow morning, I think we're going to be looking at more fog along the coast. And then, of course, looking at our heat alerts, there is an excessive heat warning starting today, lasting through Thursday evening. Highs between 95 and 108 degrees. So we look at our National Weather Service heat risk for today. We're mainly in the orange, which is moderate. Now, a moderate heat risk means it affects most people that are especially sensitive to heat. So typically the elderly people, infants, young children, your pets, obviously. So if they don't have proper cooling or hydration, it can be a health risk for them. So this is that type of day where it's good to just kind of keep a close eye on those people that are typically going to be sensitive to the heat and don't have the proper way to stay cool. Then by tomorrow, it's a major heat risk. And this can affect anyone if you don't have proper way to stay cool or hydrate yourself. So again, it's kind of look out for your neighbors, look out for each other. And for those of you that work outdoors, first and foremost, I'm sorry. Especially on days like today, it can't be a lot of fun. But secondly, if you've got to still get out the door and head out to work and work outdoors, drink a cup of cool water every 20 minutes. Even if you aren't thirsty for those long jobs, drink a beverage with electrolytes. If you can, get Gatorade or whatever, right? Take regular breaks to rest. During hot conditions, skipping breaks is not safe. So sit down, take a little break. And if you can, try to get in the AC for a short while. Maybe, if you're at a client's house, if they're nice enough to let you in their house. If not, maybe get in your car, turn on the AC for a little bit, drink some water, spend some time in the shade when you're outdoors. Just a couple of quick reminders. Again, if you have to work outside, it's got to be a tough job. I see those people out there working even not during these heat waves, and I'm like, man, those are some hard workers out there. Temperatures should be topping out right around 100 degrees in the valley. Today could quite possibly be the hottest day we've seen so far for the year, at least in the valley. And for the mountains, mainly in the 80s, mid-60s for the coast. This is that time of the year. The coast just kind of brags about their cooler weather. You'll see that in the 7-day outlook. But really, the big heat wave, the peak of the heat wave will be tomorrow and Thursday. Now, we're talking about temperatures dropping. So I usually don't say cooling off because it's not cooling off. It's just the temperatures are dropping. And you can see, of course, upper 90s to about 100 degrees for Saturday, Sunday in the valley. And then looks like temperatures may increase again for early next week. We've got another smaller, weaker heat wave coming in for next week. So there's the coast, bragging about, there it is, in your face, 60s, mid-60s, give or take, for the next 7 days. Inland, Weaverville, Trinity County, temperatures going up, then back down again, and then back up, going into early next week. How about Siskiyou, Modoc, and the Eastern Mountains? Well, of course, also seeing that trend going up and down, then back up again. So we got that heat wave coming into early next week. Hey, by the way, I want to remind you, you can share your pictures like Alicia here. She sent this, took this on Sunday. You may remember those clouds moving in. Very interesting clouds, to say the least. And these were some of the clouds that eventually did bring some showers, especially for some of the higher elevations and along the coast. And these are just some of those dark, ominous-looking clouds. So again, if you want to share your photos, share them from the Weather NorCal app. If you don't have the Weather NorCal app, why don't you have it? Go to your app store, search for Weather NorCal, and download the app for free. And you can share your photos just like Alicia did. That gorgeous photo there. Let's take a look at Lake Oroville and take a look at North Forebay. A little bit of a breeze out there, not a completely glass lake, but still a gorgeous sight nonetheless. We've got those sunny skies out there this morning. Take you out to Main Street in Chico on Highway 32. Can't really see too clearly there, but looks like we're starting off with those sunny skies there. There's a look at Highway 99 at Neal Road. Looks like they moved the camera, kind of giving us a different perspective. You can look off in the distance and see the clear skies there. Take you out to Sundial Bridge Drive on Highway 44. And there you can see, of course, the sun just kind of doing its thing. So again, I mentioned if you want to share your photos or if you just want the best app that's available for you, then this is going to be the way to go, right? Search for Weather NorCal, download it for free. Also, if you're watching this from your phone or watching it from your computer, you can watch it from your TV. There's a Fire Stick app. There's a Roku app. Search for Weather NorCal. There's also a Weather NorCal YouTube page. If you have a smart TV with YouTube, boom, you're good to go. You can watch on your big screen TV. You can not only watch the 24-hour streaming channel from YouTube, but you can also watch the latest forecast on demand. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of a cool feature. Good morning from Dizzy Did. Good morning from Lisa Stevens. Good morning to you all. One thing I forgot to bring up was the National Day calendar. Let's go ahead and refresh that. Yesterday was National Egg Day. Today is National Hug Your Cat Day. How many of you have cats? Who loves cats? It was kind of a joke with one of my anchors years ago that I anchored with or worked with. And she was a dog person. And I was actually a cat person for many, many years. But ever since I got my dog Nessie, oh my goodness, I've never fallen in love more with an animal than I did with Nessie. Although I had a cat. Her name was Cirrus. I have named after a cloud because she was a white cat. I had her, gosh, this has been probably over 20 years ago that she passed. It was a hard time. And I haven't been able to find a cat to love as much as her. But the dog, that's a different story. Love the dog to death. National Clean Beauty Day. What? National Clean Beauty Day? National Safe Day. Okay, apparently it's a day, National Cognac Day. If you drink alcoholic beverages, although I'd say this, in the heat, probably not a good idea to drink the cognac. You don't want to drink alcohol on a hot day. Alcohol dehydrates you. All right, okay, this is one I can get down with. National Cheese Day. Who doesn't love a good block of cheese? That's what I say. Who plans on celebrating any of these things? You plan on celebrating National Hug Your Cat Day or Clean Beauty Day or Safe Day, Cognac Day? I know some people enjoy a cognac. I don't know. I've never really had it, and I don't think I have. National Cheese Day. Sounds like fun. All right. Tell you what, let's get to our forecast. But before we do that, we want to remind you of our sponsor, because at Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. Okay, so currently right now, again, this is the word I like to use, is coolish, because it's not cool, but a lot cooler than what we're going to see here later this afternoon. And it's going to warm up quickly, minus, of course, the coast. But you do have temperatures mainly in the 40s and 50s for the higher elevations. Mid to upper 40s for Hayfork and Weaverville right now. Willow Creek, about 49 degrees. All right, so here's your headlines. The bigger heat arrives today, but even bigger heat arrives tomorrow and Thursday. The heat wave peaks tomorrow and Thursday, with the fire danger increasing, unfortunately, and it looks like a slight temperature drop going into the weekend. So we'll discuss all this here now. First, let's talk about our fire danger, because this is, again, it may feel like, okay, you're showing me the same thing every day, but we got to take a look at everything. Here are the winds. They're picking up this afternoon from the north-northwest. You'll notice the gusty winds, 20, 30 miles per hour. Still breezy even Wednesday morning, still breezy along the coast. Even Wednesday around noon, look at the winds, over 20 miles per hour. They should subside, though, for Wednesday afternoon, at least for the valley. Still some gusty winds from the north for the north coast. As we go into Thursday, there's actually going to be a shift in the winds. Look at the winds coming in from the south. Now, you would think, okay, great. That does help. However, we're still going to see low humidity. And in fact, let's take a look at those humidity levels for the valley. Of course, this morning, not that bad, right? But then we go to the afternoon, and we're down into the teens and 20s. Low humidity today. As we go into your Wednesday, even lower humidity. Single digits to around 10% in the valley. But still those north winds. Now, again, usually, if we get enough strong enough delta breeze, that helps to bring in some of that marine air, and there's usually a little bit more moisture associated with that, but not the case on Thursday. Those humidity levels are going to be pretty low. And of course, not so bad along the coast. So, factoring in the heat, factoring in the winds, and factoring in the humidity, it's going to be high fire danger, especially as we go into Wednesday and Thursday. Because look at Wednesday. I mean, we're back around noon, high fire danger, because that's when the winds are strongest. See how it's not as strong by the evening? But then look at Thursday. Actually, when we look at this will probably be some of the highest fire danger we've seen so far this season, at least when I've been pulling out this map. Because now we're starting to see the darker oranges, yes. We're starting to get into a little bit of hue of red. So now we're getting beyond the high stage here when we're talking about that fire weather risk. Something to think about here over the next few days. As the heat kicks in, our fire danger typically increases as well, especially if we have even some kind of wind, upwards of 10, 15 miles per hour. That's enough to really get things dry around here. You'll notice the clouds too, they're dissipating. That's because that high pressure is starting to settle in right here. That's the heat that'll be building over the next few days. Now, you may have been hearing the term dome of high pressure. All right, so what does that mean? What's a dome? Think of a dome, right? Here's a dome. The center of that dome, right here, the highest part of the dome, is where you have the hottest temperatures. You go to the outer fringes here and here, you typically have not as hot. It's still hot. It's just not as hot as where it is in the center of the dome. So the center of the dome, as you can see, is over the Four Corners region, the desert southwest. That's where they're going to see the hottest temperatures. We're in the outer fringes. So we at least have that. Because if this dome was on top of us, we'd easily be talking about 115 degrees or higher. Okay, so we can be grateful that that dome is not right on top of us. Now, it looks like as we get to the end of the week, end of the weekend, that ridge of high pressure kind of stays in place. It doesn't really move a whole lot, but it is going to start getting, it's going to break down because this cooler air, this little trough, see this little dip in the jet stream right here? This is called a trough. That trough is kind of riding over that ridge. So what that's doing is it's breaking it down a little bit. And that's going to allow the temperatures to drop, but it's still going to be hot. I mean, you're talking highs over the weekend, mid to upper 90s, and probably even some triple digits for some of the warmer spots. But check this out. Look behind me here. You see that? I've got my eyes on this, but I'm beginning to see some signs of it not being as bad as you'd think. Because yes, Monday, Tuesday, this heat's starting to build in, but look how we're not seeing this prominent ridge. Why? Because of this guy right here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, area of low pressure and colder air over the Gulf of Alaska, because this is going to be moving eastward as we go into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week, okay? And that will prevent this from building in as strong. All right, so that is some excellent news. All right, let's go and take a look at your temperature outlook by the Climate Prediction Center, and there you can see, of course, warmer than normal temperatures are in the forecast. How about that excessive heat warning? Well, yes, it starts today and will last through Thursday evening. Now, again, I've talked about this before, but you can see 95, that's going to be for the higher elevations. That's going to be the lowest that it could get. But as you go into the valley, you're at least 100 degrees or higher. That's essentially what we're going to be looking at here. All right, so that's the excessive heat warning. The Weather Service also issues a heat risk. So for today, we are in that moderate category, which affects most people, especially those that are sensitive to the heat. So especially the elderly, young children, and we can't forget about the pets, right? So if they don't have proper cooling, if they don't have proper hydration, it can create some health issues. It can be a problem. Now, when we get into the red, that is a major heat risk. And that affects anyone without proper cooling and or hydration. That'll be the case going into your Thursday as well. So again, the peak is going to be Wednesday, Thursday, and then going into your Friday, we're getting out of the reds back into the moderate category. So that certainly is some good news. But we have to remember, even though some people like to make the comment that, this is not a big deal, we're used to this, we get heat waves like this every year. Yeah, we do. That doesn't mean it's safe, right? People get tornadoes every year, they're used to it. That doesn't mean they're safe, right? So why we have to take this seriously? Look at this. You see this? These are the top related weather fatalities last year. Look at the huge spike right here. You know what that is? That is heat-related deaths in 2023. So that's the number one reason for weather, right? That people have, that there are fatalities. So we have to take it seriously. We have to take this heat wave seriously, no matter how used to it you are. All right, so most heat-related deaths actually occur outside of heat waves, believe it or not. So you've got to stay weather ready. Avoid overexertion and stay hydrated. Heat stroke can occur even during moderate heat. So again, it's mainly those people that are sensitive to heat, okay, that are going to be experiencing that. Never leave people in the car, never leave people or pets in the car. And even if it's 80 degrees outside, that can be very dangerous inside the car. And assist those that are higher risk for heat-related illnesses, including children, pregnant people, and older adults. And again, we can't forget about our pets as well. All right, so here's the temperature trend. It peaks Wednesday, Thursday in the valley, temperatures drop, then we go back up again for Sunday, and especially into Monday of next week. For the mountains, I've just put Mount Shasta here, but it's the same trend for the mountains. Going up, peaking around the Thursday time frame. We see a dip over the weekend, going back up early next week. Where we're not seeing that temperature trend is the coast. And again, this is one of those, if you live on the coast, congratulations. Because now you get to enjoy these cooler temperatures while the rest of us are dealing with the heat. All right. So here's your futurecast, and there you can see, of course, going to the afternoon today, just a couple of afternoon clouds in the mountains. We are beginning to see some of that marine layer, the fog, make its way to the north coast by tonight and into tomorrow morning. So you may start off with some fog tomorrow morning along the coast. Look at this, too. What could we see a chance for showers, thunderstorms in Modoc County, the Eastern Mountains? Not out of the question. I don't have in the 7-day forecast, by the way, but I may be including that here as we go into maybe my evening forecast. All right, so there again, even on Thursday, you got that chance coming in there as well. So the wave heights today, not an issue. But tomorrow, look at the wave heights. They're really starting to increase. So as a result, the National Weather Service has issued a small correct advisory for tomorrow, not today, but tomorrow, with those northwest winds today at about 5 knots. All right, so here's your neighborhood forecast for Trinity County. Along the Highway 299 corridor, temperatures mid to upper 80s. Although places like Douglas City, about 90, 88 for Trinity Center, 85 for Coffee Creek. I think we'll be around 100 degrees for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for both Weaverville and Hayfork. In fact, here's a look at your Hayfork 7-day outlook. Maybe not as bad on Wednesday, but there you can see again around 100 degrees, especially Thursday, Friday. Low 90s over the weekend, back to the upper 90s by Monday in Hayfork. How about your North Coast neighborhood forecast, starting off with southern Humboldt County. Temperatures in the upper 80s for places like Garberville and Redway, 77 degrees for Redcrest. And for the North Coast, up towards Ferndale, Fortuna, upper 60s there, low 70s for Hydesville and Rio Dell. Up north, we've got 70 in Trinidad, 65 for Eureka, 87 for Hoopa. We're approaching the 90s for many of us in the inland areas, but not quite. Getting close, though. 86 degrees for a high today in Orleans, 72 degrees for Gasquet, and Oric, about 68 degrees. And your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast, Highway 96 corridor, temperatures mid-80s, give or take. Mid-80s along the I-5 corridor there. Montague, about 84. Gazelle, about 84 degrees. Take you out to Scott Valley. Temperatures basically in the low 80s, although places like Fort Jones, that is, about 79 degrees. And up to some of the highest of elevations, you're talking temperatures mid to upper 70s. 85 degrees out in Mount Shasta City, 86 degrees for McLeod and Dunsmuir, about 87. And your Modoc County neighborhood forecast, low 80s, although places like Cedarville, about 78, 79 degrees in Fort Bidwell. And your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast, 86 Shingletown, up towards Viola, about 60 degrees cooler, 90 out in Paynes Creek, and 89 degrees for Montgomery Creek. Take you to the south, taking a look at Lake Elminor and Lassen Park. Lassen Park might be a good place to cool off as well, although I don't think that Highway 89 or the road or the highway through the park is open just yet, but still you can get up there and check out some of the sights and see how beautiful it is. Some of the snow is beginning to melt, but it is a cooler spot certainly to be this time of the year. Take a look at the Eastern Mountains to the south. Paradise, you'll see a high of about 82 degrees, as well as Mineral, 87 for Susanville. All right, let's take a look at your Valley neighborhood forecast, brought to you by NorCal Tractor. You know, those temperatures, if we see 100 degrees, I would not be surprised for any of these areas here. Okay, but it's going to be kind of borderline hovering there. Upper 90s to about 100 degrees. Look for a high of 98 for the city of Shasta Lake. A bit cooler, though, in Whiskeytown and Lakehead, topping out at about 92 degrees. So there's a look at your 7-day forecast for Redding. We've got those temperatures in the triple digits, really possibly as early as today, but especially for your Wednesday, Thursday, that's the peak of the heat wave. And then it looks like in the right around 100 degrees, give or take, actually for the weekend. So yes, we're talking about temperatures dropping, but it's just dropping from 106 to about 100 over the weekend. And then temperatures will probably start to increase again going into next week. So there you go. That's your forecast. Let's see if anybody's kind of chiming in here this morning. Don't have a very chatty bunch, do I? But feel free to chime in. I love it. But you know, the thing is, and the reason why some of you, a lot of you are probably watching on Fire Stick, Amazon Fire Stick, or even YouTube on your TV, of course, means, of course, you can't chime in. But I appreciate all of you who do chime in. Elaine saying, good morning, Mike. Have a great day. I appreciate you. Thank you. Dizzy Did saying, good morning. Keep cool, folks. You know, and it's kind of one of those things where people say, well, on a hot summer day, drink iced coffee. Well, on a hot summer day, you shouldn't be drinking coffee. First and foremost, caffeine is a dehydrator. It dehydrates you. So really, the best thing to drink is water, and not to mention anything with electrolytes, right? Like Gatorade or something like that. Those sports drinks, right? Anything with electrolytes can help you as well. Chris is saying, yep, quiet group today. Absolutely. I've got a friend who's doing this in East Tennessee, and His name is Mike Witcher. You may have seen him. He's out in Knoxville. And I've watched him. And his group, man, they are chatty, chatty, chatty. He can be chatting with him for like a half an hour. But not necessarily the case here. But of course, that allows me, I guess, to get out early. Hope you have a good day. Oh, yeah. Nice, Dizzy. I see what you did there. Now, some of you may be wondering, like, well, what do you mean you see what she did? Because she's probably been watching. What's today? Today is National Cheese Day. So, Dizzy, thank you for the cheesy joke. See what I did there? All right, that's fun. So that's very nice. I see what you did there. Drink lots of water. That's what Linda Jones is saying. Days like this, thankful I work inside and from home. Yes, me too. Just make sure your AC works. By the way, if your AC doesn't work, or if you're having problems with your AC, call my friends over there at Dennis's Heating and Air. They'll take care of you. They are actually one of my first, outside of Crown Motors, which is my major sponsor, my main sponsor. My first sponsor for the weather segments that I do during the day was Dennis's Heating and Air. They jumped on board a year before I even launched. How cool is that? So I'm a huge supporter of Dennis's Heating and Air. Be sure to check them out. Get your groceries today and stay home midweek. That's a good idea. I mean, it's still going to be hot today, but at least it's not going to be 106. Yesterday, probably wasn't the day to do that. Are there cooling centers that will be open midweek? That's a good question, Lynn. I haven't heard of any. Let me, I don't think so. Let's see here. I just don't. Shasta County update. Currently no temporary. So that was 5/14 though. Yeah, I don't know. And the thing is, I couldn't tell you right now if there are. You know, I wish I had some kind of source for that. That's a good. That's a good question, and I appreciate the question. And you stumped me. But again, as I kind of check out just any news articles, there's nothing recent. Nothing recent at all. The closest one from Shasta County, which was updated 5/14. Currently, no temporary county cooling centers are open. That was May 31st. So this is coming in from Shasta County. So I don't see anything. I don't see any. Kind of interesting. Usually during those first heat waves, you kind of hear about that, but unfortunately not. All right, people are starting to kind of chime in a little bit here. Good morning from Sandra Stearns. So what are some of your favorite ways to stay cool? I like to sit my face in front of a fan. It's interesting. They say fans cool people, not the air, you know, which is true. So a fan is actually a good way to stay cool. Make sure that you, and I've got a window in here, and I wish I could open it, but I've got cars that drive by, and of course you probably hear them. But what I like to do is when I get in here in the morning at 3:30 in the morning, I open that window when it's nice and cool outside, and I take my fan, I've got a little fan, and I put it up on the windowsill, and I let it draw in that colder air. And it gets nice and cool in here. But then I have to close the window and it starts heating up again. Maybe I just need to make sure I turn the AC down. All right, so yeah, good morning to you all. Thank you all so much for chiming in. Misters on my back porch. Oh, there you go. Misters are a good way to stay cool especially because it's typically so dry around here. You get that, what's the evaporative cooling. As you know, right? Evaporation of water is a cooling process. So think about this. When you get out of a pool here on a hot summer day here, it could be like 100 degrees out. You get out of that pool and you're cold, right? That's kind of weird, but that's because the water on your body is evaporating so quickly from that hot, dry air that it's cooling you off. But if you go to a very humid climate, you get out of that pool, because it's so humid, that water on your body isn't evaporating. So you're staying hot and clammy because the water in your body isn't evaporating. So kind of interesting little fact there. People don't really realize that. Mark Pereira actually says Whiskeytown Lake. That's a cool place to cool off. And a beautiful place to cool off. I mean, who doesn't want to cool off in the lake, right? It's just beautiful out there. Chris is saying your swamp pump broke yesterday. Oh, guess what you're replacing? Oh, man, you don't have AC? Oh, man, I'm sorry about that. You know, I guess the other alternative is if you can't get it replaced today, which it sounds like you're replacing it today, is you're going to have to go up there and manually get a hose and, you know, wet down those, wet down the swamp cooler. Early morning, open windows and fans are great. Shady spots with cross breezes. That's right, Lynn. And if you have a whole house fan, those are awesome. That's a great investment because you take all that cooler air and you get it through the entire house. And you don't have, well, you have to open kind of creak your windows open a little bit. You know, that's always my thing is, you know, you hear all these weather forecasters saying this time of the year when it's a cool night, they say, open your windows and let all that cooler air in tonight. Well, that's a bit of a security issue, right? You don't want to leave your windows open all night because that's just an easy way for, you know, an intruder to get in. I know. I know I shouldn't think that way, but it's true. It happens. Don't need, oh, there you go. Lynn saying, don't need AC because I have a whole house fan. I bet it's great. But I'd be willing to guess that eventually that you do have to turn that AC on. I don't know. I've never had a whole house fan. I'd love to. I've heard great things about them. So I am definitely envious of people that have them. But that is really kind of a nice way to cool off. As I'm looking outside right now, our sprinklers are on. Usually you should try to have your sprinklers on during the early morning hours before the sun comes up. And then as the sun goes down, again, they don't usually recommend that you water the lawn during the peak heat of the day because the water just can't soak into the ground fast enough before it evaporates. So that's kind of interesting as well. All right, so we got people who say they got whole house fans. They open the windows, let in the cooler air. Misters on the back porch. I haven't heard anybody say they got a pool. You know, you know what's funny about me? It's just crazy. So we have a pool. And unless that temperature in that water is like 90 degrees, I can't get in. And it doesn't matter how hot it is. It could be 110 degrees outside. Unless I'm like just exhausted and sweating, I just maybe went for a run or overexerted myself in the heat, I'm not getting in that water because I'm just too hot. The only time I usually get in the water is if I'm really hot and sweaty. I remember I was in the going for a jog, and I was on the beach in Mexico, and I went for a jog that morning, and it was pretty warm. And usually that water is way too cold for me, but I immediately jumped in that water to stay cool. So a pool is a nice way to stay nice and cool. But again, for me, unless that water is like 90 degrees, I'm just a wimp. I'm really a wimp. I'm one of those guys that, you know, I kind of work my way in. I work my way up to my waist, and I'm like, I can't, it's too cold. I just don't like that initial shock. I like the feeling of feeling warm. That's my thing. All right, enough of that. Fun stuff, fun stuff. It was great chatting with you all. We've got some amazing, some great cameras out there that are available. And by the way, if you can think of any great locations, even outside of the Reading area, where we could put up some cameras. I know I talked about this earlier, and I've talked about this over the year, but it's just been one of those things where it's been on the back burner. I've had so much going on. But I'd like to start thinking about getting some cameras up. So I can think of some good locations. That'd be cool. Kim's saying I'm not the only one. A wimp in that cold water. Yeah, that's true. My son, he makes fun of me because he's really, he gets in there in the winter. He'll swim in the winter. I don't know where he gets it, but he doesn't get it from me. So he can handle it. So my son is stronger willed than I am when going into a cold pool. So yeah, thanks for bonding with me there, Kim, and sharing me not being the only one. Let's take a look at some of those cameras. Yes, Burr, exactly. Let's take a look at some of those cameras out there this morning as we get ready to get you out the door this morning and get ready for the day. Cue the music. We got it going. We're going to take a look at some cameras, see what's going on out there. This is what it looks like at Lake Oroville, North Forebay. Before we head on out, we'll take you on a tour of some of the cameras in the area. And stay cool out there, even if it is a nice cool pool. And we will see you tomorrow morning when we're talking about, most likely, one of the hottest days of the year. Have a great day, everyone, and stay cool and safe. Take care of those who are sensitive to this heat.